Aces Wild, All In, Episode 7.
So, it's time for the big poker match. I wonder who will win. Chase, Chance, a random stranger. Whose plan was this anyways?
Rolling into town, Tatsuo started looking around for Chance at all the places that had poker tables. It proved an unpleasant experience. She appeared homely and in need, and more than a few gents offered to take care of her. Growing distraught, the idea crossed her mind that she may never find him. Maybe he already abandoned Cooper. Maybe he moved to the next town. Maybe he set out to return to Copperton, all ready to see her.
Oh God, what have I done?
She thought, picturing Chance running into McGregor on the road. Shuddering at the vision, a familiar sight broke her from her trance. There stood Nessie, hitched outside the Diamond Saloon, and...
Is that Meg's horse?
Referring to a man that lived down the street in Copperton. Chance had indeed borrowed the mare. Upon entering the saloon, Tatsuo began to think that maybe her ideas of Chance living the high life on the road weren't too far from the truth. Taken aback by the beauty of the saloon, she could hardly take it all in. Even in Copperton's best days, the saloon never shined like this. The patrons also shared a hard time taking her all in as well. She looked very out of place. Her dress frayed in various places, a few buttons loose at their threads, and her hair brushed across her face in its wind-blown chaos from the frantic pace on the road. While attempting to fix her disheveled look, she spotted Chance and Chase coming from upstairs. Laughing and strutting, they wore clothes that looked fresh off the rack. A mixture of anger and jealousy festered in her gut. Making their way downstairs into the bar, Chance wandered up to Belle and slung his arm around her.
"What you doing, gorgeous?"
he asked, attempting to make Chase feel some jealousy as well.
"Not you, hun,"
she quickly retorted without missing a beat, brushing his arm off her shoulder. Chance laughed half a laugh that was interrupted by a familiar voice.
Hello, boys.
Tatsuo interjected, after clearing her throat. They both went pale. Chance looked like he just saw God. Turning around slowly, there she stood, Chance's wife, glaring at him with outright anger, obviously very out of place.
Tat? It's not what it looks like.
It looks you playing rich man hitting a bar lady.
Okay. It is what it looks like. But let me explain.
Oh, sweetie, you got nothing to worry about. These boys ain't got a shot with me.
Belle chimed, shooting Chase a sideways glance and a nearly shy smile. Shifting uncomfortably, Chase quickly cleared his throat a bit. He couldn't bring himself to meet Belle's eyes. Chance, never one to miss out on an inopportune moment, teased Belle.
And you just had to say it in front of him like that, didn't you?
Abruptly changing the topic, Belle took note of the near desperation and fury in Tatsuo's eyes. She darted to the woman's side, realizing this wasn't the place.
You okay there? Let's get you two someplace private.
Gesturing towards the stairs, Belle led Chance and Tatsuo to the room the boys rented. As they passed Chase, Tatsuo scowled at him. Chase grabbed the brim of his hat, giving it a little pull, and with a nod, just greeted,
"Tatsuo?"
Honey's in carriage.
Carriage.
He pondered. Then walking outside there, it waited. A carriage. An extremely nice carriage, and in the window, staring out, peered Honey and Jack. Honey began crying the instant she saw Chase. Dumbfounded, he went over to the carriage door, a door tied closed with twine. The whole thing seemed off somehow, and certainly didn't fit with his impressions of Tatsuo. Something happened to cause her to flee, but what he couldn't fathom. As soon as he opened the door, Honey flew out. She certainly felt much better. Jack called,
"Hey, Chase."
As he began to climb down. Chase gave Honey a rub, rolled her on her back, and inspected her wounds. They healed up nicely, but the sutures needed to come out. Walking her over to a near bench, he observed that she was still limping a little, but not nearly as bad. Rolling her over again, he pulled out a small pocket knife.
"What you doing?"
"These stitches need to come out,"
he said while cutting the knots that held the sutures in place. Pulling on one end, the threads came out with ease.
"Wow, that's neat."
"I guess it kinda is, isn't it? Okay, honey, see what you got."
Chase picked up a stick and tossed it. Honey moved much better now. Her joints seemed stiff, but probably from being sedentary and cramped in the carriage on their journey.
She plays fetch?
Well, she chases sticks. Go on, see if you can catch her.
Jack ran after Honey, trying his best to get the stick back.
Drop it. Drop it, Honey.
As the boy and dog played, Chase went to do a little digging. Making his way back to the carriage, he couldn't help but wonder how Tatsuo came across such a nice coach. Opening the door gave him a big clue. Hung on the wall was a double-barreled shotgun. It was magnificent. Walnut stock, blued steel, heavily engraved, with a gold-plated trigger, and on the stock a name plaque.
McGregor.
Chase immediately shot his head out of the carriage, looking down the street expecting to see a band of outlaws riding hard.
Hey, Jack. I need you to take Honey around the back of the saloon.
But we're playing.
Now.
Chase snapped his fingers and Honey immediately ceased playing. All eyes on Chase.
Go hide.
Jack and Honey picked up on the urgency and went around to the back of the saloon.
You stay there till someone you know comes to get you.
Meanwhile, in the saloon, Chance was locked in explaining to Tatsuo. He told her everything about their plan, and Tatsuo did her share as well. They started just beginning to understand the gravity of both situations when there was a knock at the door. Chance cautiously cracked the door open, and he turned to Tatsuo with a look of surprise. Swinging the door open the rest of the way stood Belle, holding a magnificent dress. Knee-length, black with a red floral print. Tatsuo appeared shocked as Belle stepped into the room. Along with the dress, she held a small clutch.
I better go find Chase,
Chance said as he politely excused himself from the room. Finding each other in the lounge, Chance shared the story of what had happened back in Copperton with Chase. After tipping the bellhop a considerable amount of cash, they gained the ability to use the employee access points of the building. Sneaking Honey and Jack through the back door, they used the servants' stairs and met the others in their room for a reunion. Tatsuo's first instinct and suggestion were to take the money and run. But the money remained behind lock and key. They only had chips that would be cashed out at the end of the tournament. At a loss, they decided the saloon might be the best place to be. Security continued to be tight, and Belle relayed it would become even tighter. For the final match of the poker tournament, there would be even more guards. The winnings wouldn't be awarded until the following morning before the saloon doors opened to the public. Then, the guards would see the winning person to the door and safely on their way, either to their home or to the edge of town. After deciding that the show would go on, Chase and Chance took the carriage out of town. They found a clearing in some brush and hid it there. They gave the carriage horses some much-needed care, and they returned to prepare for their match. Belle set up Tatsuo and Jack in her room. Growing fond of each other quickly, Tatsuo told Belle her story. Belle felt sorry for her. Being a saloon girl, it wasn't hard for her to imagine herself in Tatsuo's shoes. Leaving Tatsuo in her room with the clutch to touch up before the event, Belle went and prepared a table in the back room for her and Jack, seeing as the back room was the safest place. She prepared a spot for two in the corner and removed the light bulb overhead to help them hide. The rest of the day drew into a long one. Grabbing a table with a view of the front door, Chase and Chance took watch in the lounge. Tatsuo, Jack, and Honey stayed upstairs with Belle in her room. They talked about McGregor and the boys' plan. Making small talk, they passed the time until Belle's shift and the tournament started. Tatsuo got the impression that Belle fancied Chase, and that was confirmed when Belle started prying into his life. But she couldn't tell her much, other than how she first met him. Belle got a kick out of that. Also, learning that the boys were more than just poker cheats and booze hounds made Belle even more fond of Chase. Inquiring into Belle's personal story, Tatsuo learned that she was widowed at a young age, after which she took to working at the saloon. Being forced into a life of independence so young, she grew accustomed to it. Tatsuo couldn't pry much more than that out of her. As evening approached, more and more people poured into the saloon to watch the finale of the 2-week-long poker tournament. As calls were made for players to take their seats in the game room, Chase and Chance eyed each other curiously.
Maybe he's not coming,
Chance said as he leaned in and whispered.
Uh-huh.
Was the sarcastic reply. The game room of the Diamond Saloon appeared different now. Only one table remained, an oval with 5 places around it. In the center sat the dealer facing the stage. Across from him, backs to the crowd, were 2 chairs to his left and 2 to his right. Hanging over the main table, one lone chandelier illuminated the scene. Its lights bounced off the crystals, dancing with rainbow flickers around the room. Also, center focused was the stage seating, having been moved around to give onlookers the best view of the main event. However, one table stayed alone, omnisciently, in a darkened corner. It looked strange there, as if placed for a local tycoon who wanted to watch the show undisturbed. It felt strange, too, when Belle brought Tatsuo and Jack in to be seated.
These are our seats? I can't sit here.
Tatsuo commented as Jack tugged at her dress while staring in awe. He didn't know such places even existed.
It's fine. Nobody will be paying attention to anything but the game.
Being partly true, most of the night very few glances passed their direction. The ones that did looked puzzled. Jack sat on the edge of his seat, his broadside mostly illuminated from the shadows. Anyone who did catch a glimpse of Tatsuo when she'd leaned forward to take a gander wondered, who was this lady from the Orient? The final night's game started with the players entering from different doorways on opposite sides of the room. Upstage, an announcer of sorts walked around talking quietly to the viewers, telling them who was who. The dealer, Cole, was a dark-haired, leggy man wearing a navy blue suit with glasses. The first player walked into the room next, a short, pudgy gent dressed in white, with a white Stetson hat. He went by the name Lucky. His suit seemed hand-tailored to custom fit a heavy man. Taking his seat, a waiter quickly ran up to set down a spittoon bucket, just in time to catch the man's chew juice. Next came Chance, in a true act of showmanship, tipping his hat to the stage. Tatsuo thought he looked rather stunning in his woolen trousers and white striped shirt. Jack gazed with particular pride. William entered the room after that, seemingly as if he barely dressed up for the game at all. His hair shone clean but stayed messy, as were his garments. Everything was worn with shades of brown. After what appeared to be some bickering about wearing a jacket with the waiter, the dealer butted in, signaling it was okay for the man to be seated. Chase entered the room finally. Belle passed out drinks on the stage, moving about to and fro, pretending not to notice him. However, Tatsuo responded less tactfully, nudging Belle's arm, gesturing towards his direction and smirking. She caught the hidden glances toward Chase and ribbed her newfound friend. He did look nice, Belle thought, in khaki-colored trousers and a light blue shirt with the sleeves rolled up. Something Chase did on purpose to show he couldn't possibly be hiding cards up them. Sauntering up, he took a different approach to the table. Pulling his hat low over his brow, he took a seat with no acknowledgement to anyone. The room was stiffly quiet, but all that changed in a flash when the waiter stepped next to the dealer. Striking a triangle, he set the room abuzz. Cards, chips, and poker terms started flying. The game was on, and everyone in the room watched excitedly. Everyone except for Tatsuo. She never understood the fascination.
Ante up, check, raise, stare some more, full, cuss, boring.
Jack, on the other hand, felt enthralled. Tatsuo hoped this wasn't the start of something. After a few hands, the first person out of the game waltzed Lucky, having lost with a pair of kings to Chance's 777s.
Lucky? That's funny.
Tatsuo thought as he bowed out gracefully. It was a good thing Chance won that hand too, since his own stack was looking a little low. Unfortunately, he wouldn't hold on much longer. William folded straight off the deal, and Chance's last hand came down to him and Chase. A tenseness emerged in the room as the two friends baited each other with dueling glares. This was the rematch, nothing really staked in the game but a sense of pride, as they were working together to win the tournament. But Chase wanted to win that pride. Chance proceeded to bet first.
I raise you 10.
Looking first at his chips, then at Chase, Chance tried to get a read. But there was nothing. Chance only had a few more chips left after the raise.
All in,
He said, pushing the rest of his chips into the pot, certainly seeming like a knee-jerk reaction, a response to Chase having gone all in during their first head-to-head match in Durnville. The crowd gasped. All-in bets were pretty rare in a tournament. Usually one would hang on to whatever chips they could, hoping to linger for another round. But these two fought a personal battle now.
Is he bluffing?
Chase thought as time slowed to a crawl. Chance wouldn't look up from his cards. Sitting there like a statue, he only looked down, the brim of his hat blocking his face. There's no way he'd allow himself to give a tell.
You gonna take all day?
I'll call.
How about a jack high straight?
Chance said, moving his cards to sport a small smirk.
I got 7 high.
Chase replied in a monotone manner, not a single sign of emotion on his face. Chance's smirk grew.
Flush. All hearts.
The smirk turned to ire as he shot up from the table, storming for the door. It would have slammed on his way out had the attendant not caught it. Chase barely held back his own grin, having wiped that smirk off Chance's face. Jack looked over to his mom and whispered,
But what happened?
Your dad lost.
Oh,
Sinking back in his seat sadly, he continued to watch. Chattering set loose on the stage. For the patrons who paid good money to watch the tournament finale, things moved a little too fast. Signaling for bell, several of the onlookers ordered more drinks. The game now came down to Chase and William. Luckily for the crowd's sake, it continued for some time, and in a harrowing fashion. Stacks of chips grew and shrank. At one point, Chase was down to his last. He had butterflies in his stomach, thinking all their efforts teetered on him taking an all-or-nothing match.
What a stupid plan.
He thought. But then, in the end, he won, beating William with nothing more than a pair of 2s against a bluff of nothing. Lightly clapping for the finale of the game, the stagegoers began gathering their things as Chase collected his winnings. He placed his chips in a lockbox and handed it to security before heading to the lounge. Not seeing Tatsuo or Jack at their table, he figured they must have ducked out with the others. As he passed Belle on his way out, she winked. Then, with his hand on the doorknob, Chase took a deep breath. He had no idea what was waiting on the other side. Little did he know there would be a lot more than McGregor to worry about.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a close one. But wait, what is the ominous hint about what's beyond that door?